the sound of 8 people clapping.
Yeah, that's not bad for a Sunday morning.
No?
No.
Okay.
You are.
Aida Rodriguez.
Yeah. And
thanks. I needed you when I was running track. And who are you?
I am Laurie Kilmartin. Yeah. The applause is getting less excited as we go. They're losing their excitement for us. This show's called Two Single Moms, and Aida and I are both single moms. And
can you see the pain on our faces?
They said come in full makeup, and I arrived, and Craig's like, okay, you can put your makeup on, and I'm like, no, this is full makeup. I don't know what you're expecting.
At least you wore shoes. I gave up like 6 years ago.
You came straight from the shower, which I appreciated with your flip-flops. So they look very comfortable.
They are.
And these are my high heels. These are my 4-inch pumps. These are my Melania in Puerto Rico pumps. So we have this space that we've been given with our partner, the Single Parents Alliance of America.
Yeah, SPAOA.org.
Yes, yeah. And I guess what appealed to us was that every time they talk about parents, then they go, oh, and single moms. And we're like, I'm tired of being an oh, and. I want to be the main focus. And every time it's a single mom thing, it's just an attachment to the regular moms, the so-called regular moms. And it gets boring after a while for us. So here we are. We're both single parents.
And I wanted to be here really because just to have somebody to talk to, because that doesn't want something from me. It just feels good to have somebody. And then Ben is here. Ben is in the audience, and he's the same name as my new nephew. I have a white nephew now, so I feel like my credit and my life is going to get better. Like,
I have a Hispanic son, so we're turning into each other slowly.
But, I also like the opportunity to have a space where we can talk, where we can share our stories and also not continuously perpetuate that idea that single moms are miserable. Because it's always like, oh, woe is me, the single mom, and, he left me in the struggle and all that. I mean, he did leave me, and I am struggling, but I'm happy in my struggle. So I just think that single moms need a place that we're real people. We're not like a novelty. Like it's like you say, and single moms. It's like, no, we're women who have children.
Yes, and also we're women. And I mean, I don't know that everyone has a situation where the father takes a kid for a couple days a week, but I do sometimes. And during those weekends where I'm just by myself, I'm like, oh, this is what it was like. Like, this is who I was before that thing invaded my life. Yeah. And it's nice to go back and just sort of reconnect and stuff. And sometimes I feel like when you turn into a mom, whether you're a single mom or a married mom, the people sort of assume your brain just gets soft and mushy and you're full of cuddly feelings. It's like, no, I'm still a jerk. And
I'm a jerk with a kid.
I still hate the same people I hate. Yeah, I'm still me. Yeah.
And I don't even like that kid. So and my experience is different. So that's a single mom with privilege because she gets to get rid of her kids.
I am. I'm embarrassed, but yes, it is a privilege.
No, but and I think people like the definitions. Like there are different levels with single parenthood because I never got Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other weekend off. My kids were literally with me every minute of our lives.
Brutal.
Their dad was, out trying to be them and being a kid. So he was never there. So I had to do everything. I was mom and dad. I was at every basketball game. I was the obnoxious mother telling my son to get the rebounds. And they're like, she's not supposed to know this. And it was, I actually started calling my ex, thanks to Prince, I got the perfect name for him. I would refer to him as the artist formerly known as Daddy. That was, that was my kids are older now, so I feel like we made it. But.
Cool. Well, we're glad you're here. And so what we're going to do, I mean, and we're glad to partner with the Single Parents Alliance of America because they have like a huge, they have a ton of resources for single parents, and they can probably save you some money, you know, and that's really super important.
I feel like they're like my father. I'm like, where were you when I needed you? Like,
I know. Yeah, they started too late for you to actually take advantage of her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're around for the next generation, and so we're going to go to our cookie jar, correct? Yes. This is our first show, so we're excited to make a whole bunch of mistakes.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to kind of move through with the show by pulling out our topics. Do you want to do it, or should I? I took the lead but I didn't mean to.
It's okay. I mean, that's what white women do.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You're the salt of the earth.
I'm going to try to be less alpha. Oh, okay. Oh, no. Well, in keeping with your sentiment, interview with Laurie. I'd like to know more about Laurie Kilmartin.
I do, though. I do. You know, it's so funny. You're a single mom, and you work on the Conan show, and you're one of my favorite comics. And I always look at you, and I'm like, she's got it together. Like, I want to be like that. I want to have it together. I want to be one of those comedians that have it together. Tell me more about yourself, Laurie, because I'm tired of stalking you on the internet. Like,
well, I am white. Let's see. I had it's weird. My story is a lot of it is setups to jokes on my act, but I don't want to start doing my act. But I have one child. I've never been married. The child, who's currently on an iPad in another room right now, that's his chief babysitter, is the internet. I had him by accident. I got pregnant by accident. I actually had him on purpose, but it wasn't a surprise. Like, wow, I am really putting it on. No, I knew I was pregnant at some point during the 9 months, and I was 40 when I got pregnant, and I thought that I would miscarry. So I wasn't, too attached, thinking, it's just going to go away, because I read all the stats, and I wasn't. And then around the 6th month, I was like, whoa, this baby is sticking. He might stick the landing. I better get a crib or something. And so I started preparing at a later date, maybe. I mean, I was trying to eat healthy, but I wasn't really like trying for this pregnancy, because I was a stand-up comic, and I didn't see how I could live my life and have a baby at the same time. And so had the baby, and and this is so frustrating, I think, to hear when people are, when you're pregnant, you don't know what's happening, but it's weird how things work out, Sometimes I guess they don't always work out for people. So I don't want to say like there's this magical thing where pregnancy makes things work out, because obviously there's stories in the news where people are struggling more than ever. But in my case, I was able to find a way to keep working enough, doing enough stand-up and get some writing jobs where I was able to still have a place to live and have a kid and raise him. And so that's what I struggle to do every single week, is like, keep it together.
Yeah, keep the baby alive.
Yeah.
And you have health insurance.
I have health insurance. I mean, I do. I have.
You have to ask people now.
No, I totally. It's a total luxury. I have health insurance through I'm part of a union, a writers union, and they give us health insurance. And I was on Cobra when I had the baby, and so that was very expensive. And then I got health insurance back again. It's the fact that you even have to worry about that stuff is a crime, really, in my opinion. I mean, you have enough to worry about when you're pregnant, but aside from, can I pay for this baby when it comes out, and how do I live after you want to be able to give the baby the best start,
So when you got pregnant, you knew you were going to be a single mom?
Well, I was in a relationship, and I I don't want to say I knew it was going to go sour, but it didn't feel super solid. And I guess I was hoping it would get better, and it didn't. It went south pretty quick. You know, like a baby, if there's a shaky foundation, a baby's going to break it. It doesn't make a weak relationship better. It really doesn't. So, you know, that's a sad fact. So that happened to me. It happened to probably everyone who's watching in some way. So
yeah, no, it happened to me, and I just thought about it, and it just made me angry.
Now, and who's going to clean that up? Who's going to clean that up?
That's what the kids are for.
You trained yours well.
Nah, I haven't. So I guess we'll move on to the next. May I?
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to ask me.
Okay. I don't know. I've been conditioned. So this segment is called Dilemma of the Day.
Oh, I like this segment a lot.
Every single parent has a dilemma of the day. Every day there is something that's going to happen So she says, I have been divorced for 5 years and just started dating someone who I really like. How do I introduce him to my kids, and when should I do that?
How old are the kids, does she say?
No.
Okay.
Don't introduce him to the kids if you want him to stay. You gotta.
She shouldn't tell him she have kids, right?
Have you ever seen Flowers in the Attic? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, that's how you get a man.
Wait, incest? That's what you're suggesting?
I didn't tell my boyfriend about my kids until we moved in together.
Oh, really?
And then I slid one in through the back door.
You brought them in one at a time from the attic?
Well, one's in college, yeah. You know what? That's a very interesting question for me. You said the magical words. How old are they? Because that really does make a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
My kids were older, and even still with that, I still had to think about what it meant, because I have not lived with a man since I was married to their father.
Yeah.
So that anybody who would come around is would be a threat to my kids.
Yeah.
You know? So I had to think very carefully about when's the appropriate time. I think based on what I see on Twitter, that's what runs the world right now. You got to know if you're in a solid relationship before you introduce your children to who you're dating. Because if not, then every breakup for you is a breakup for your kids.
Definitely.
That's just the way I look at it. So I'm always very judicious about who I bring around my children, not just men I'm dating, even friends. Because if you have children that come from broken homes, they probably have abandonment issues and trust issues, so you don't want to keep reintroducing those same situations to your children.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that's would add context to her question is when did they break up? My son's father and I broke up when he was 3, and he doesn't remember us together, and so whenever we're chummy, he's like, you know, why are you two talking to each other? You know, he's almost like not used to it. So, which is not like the greatest relationship role modeling, but it's better than fighting and stuff like that. And, so I haven't dated in a really long time. My act is a lie. I portray myself as constantly horny, and not that I'm not, but I haven't dated in a long time because you know, you and I were talking about this before we started taping. Like my son he sleeps on my bed still with me. So I'm going to kick him out of a bed. In addition to introducing a guy to the house, it's like, okay, get out of the bed, go to your room, and it's I almost feel like, gosh, it's too much right now. Like I'm just trying to get him to you know, get better grades. Like I don't want to bring a dude into it too, you know?
The dude will make, that was the scene in Jerry Maguire that as a single mom really, really bothered me, was when Tom Cruise spent the night at her house, and the very next morning he sits at the table to eat cereal, and her son comes to the table and is just sitting there like, who's this dude?
Right.
And
yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember just watching television being younger, and when women would date somebody, they would refer to them as, this is your uncle. And then it's
just a joke like that.
Yeah. It's really weird. It's like,
yeah.
You know how weird that kid is going to feel when he hears what's going on in the other room?
Like, you've met the whole family. You've been to Thanksgiving. You know, there's 4 uncles and that's it. Okay, so let's pop on to the next topic, right? Yes? Okay, cool. This is our offstage lady, Kate, who's running everything. She's really doing everything. She's actually, we're just puppets. We're not even speaking of our own accord. Kate is typing and we're repeating. Okay, so we have this thing, and this is a version of what you actually do. So I don't want to, we didn't steal it from you. We came up with it separately, but you do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's called We'll Say It For You. And I know that I have lots of sentiments that I don't voice because I don't want my son to hear me talking about his father.
Right.
And so a lot of them I text. We've had so many arguments, all caps arguments, texting that my son has no idea about. That if there weren't a text, we'd be screaming in front of him. God bless his cell phone. But
it's a good idea.
So what we're going to do is just, this woman has a problem and we're going to slam her ex for her because she can't do it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Is that close to what you do too?
Well, I do it, I talk about all kinds of things, not just about being a single mom, but I do, that's what it's called, I'll Say It For You. And it's my way of speaking up for people, especially now because there's so much outrage about so many things that people can't say what they want to say. So I like abuse. So I'll say it for you, and then I'll let people, wish death upon me on the internet. And then I'm finally getting some attention that I never got when I was little.
Well, and also in this case, sometimes you're restrained by your court agreement to not talk badly about your ex, which is cruel and unusual punishment, in my opinion. But so this is from Jesse, and it says, the ex works in a restaurant, and most of his income is from tips, and he doesn't report it on his taxes. We're finally done, and now I have to pay him child support because I make more on paper. Even though he makes more than me, he rarely spends time with my kid and is drunk most of the time. Please let him have it. Oh my God.
I like
you
it. I agree.
A-hole.
Yeah. He is, in all fairness though, the universe is doing them a favor because that guy a drunk staying away from your kid is the best thing that could happen for your kid. You know what I mean?
But she has to pay him. That is outrageous.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
She's honorable. I would be in court every weekend. I'd be in jail for not paying child support. I'm too stubborn. I'm not giving him a dime.
But you'd have to pay you wouldn't. You'd have to pay a lawyer. It would cost you so much money to pay this. I mean, if she's getting a check from an employer, they can just dock it right off the top.
Yeah.
And he's getting money under the table. Oh, that's so infuriating. I want to kill that guy.
You know what?
And he can continue to do that. I might know a little bit about this topic. He can continue to make as little as possible. And the judge can't say, hey, you have to, for example, Uber for more hours.
Yes.
Once that income threshold is set, it seems like the guy who's just decided to chill for the rest of his life and make just enough to pay the cable bill can live like that if he wants to.
Well, you know what? Since we're supposed to slam him, I think, what would you say to him? One day you're going to regret this. And you probably hear it all the time. Those men that leave their kids and are not good dads and women who do it, they hear it all the time. Well, I can tell you now that I'm on the other side because I used to be so angry with my ex. And internally, I kept so much stuff because I would not talk bad about him because it affects their self-esteem because they're part of who they are. Mm-hmm. He's part of who they are. But now that he's trying to reach out to them and trying to be, dad, and my daughter said, hey, the best thing we could ever be at this point is friends. You can never just be my dad anymore because you missed that opportunity. And I never even put that in her. That she evolved to that place all by herself. And that's what I'll tell her, which is more what I'm so into the mental well-being of single moms because the kids need you.
Yeah.
That it'll eventually work itself out. One day he's gonna have cancer and call the kids and say, can you come visit? And then he'll, if he doesn't have an awakening, that's what happens. And now that I'm on the other side and I see it, I look at my ex-husband trying to become something for my children. And my daughter talks to my boyfriend about her credit and the things that she won't talk to me about credit because my credit is bad. So she doesn't respect me enough. Like, she compartmentalizes us.
But is it bad because you didn't get money from him? And so, it's still a circle of.
I mean, I was paying, I had to pay his taxes. And he played in the NFL, but he gambled and did so much stuff with his money. I'm telling it all now. I'm not holding it. The kids are grown. I'm not keeping secrets for anybody. Don't you feel like you keep secrets for your ex, for your children?
My kid's 11. 7 more years?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to get ugly.
It's like you're in the mob and you're not telling. I'm like, I'm not snitching. I'm snitching now.
Yes.
But he ruined my credit. I had to pay his taxes because I didn't qualify for the tax break for when you get divorced. You still are responsible for your ex's taxes. Wow. If they owed them from when you were married. So that's the thing that I want to do with single parents, is like educate them on the things that the financial and the stuff that really causes you stress. So this guy who's getting her money and not doing it, it will eventually catch up with him, and it's messed up.
It will, and I do believe in karma, and that you think, okay, well, you're gonna have a lesser. Like, I still would rather that he have a better relationship than a lesser relationship.
Right, absolutely.
But the math of a woman having to pay money when she's, if she's working, she's a working woman, she's probably making less than she'd be making if she's a man. Like, she's already being dinged financially for being a woman in this society. And she's probably having to pay, someone to take care of her kid while she's working. She's paying out all these things. Mm-hmm. And then to have to actually give what's left of that cash to this guy who's cheating, it just sucks. And maybe the kid will realize it in 10 years and love the mom better or whatever, but who cares? Like, you need your cash, and it's a struggle to pay your bills, and to have to pay a man who's working under the table like that is disgusting. And
but on the upside,
yes,
you're no longer with the drunk waiter.
Yeah.
Let's be optimistic about this. Like, do you want the drunk waiter living at the house with you? Or you're paying to get rid of a loser.
Yeah, so, and if you like drunk waiters, you can always just serially date them once a month for the rest of your life. Just keep going out to restaurants. Do we have one more? Okay. This is you.
See? You see? We already see where this is headed.
Sorry.
We're going to end up being together, like at the end of the day. I mean, romantically. We're just going to say, let's just do this. I hate how single parents get portrayed in the media. What do you both think? I'll let you start.
Yeah, I think we hit on this a little bit earlier, but I hate that we're looked at as always broke. Some people are broke. Some of us aren't broke all the time. And and I have a decent job, so I'm pretty lucky. And other people have decent jobs. We're not all like dependent on our ex's income,
or on welfare.
On welfare, yeah. It's like we're just sort of like everybody else. We're working a pretty good or a reasonable job, and we have enough to pay our bills. And I also hate the Like, I know I am frazzled and you are too, but I hate being portrayed as frazzled on shows. Like, we're always dropping pans and, like we're late and running late. And it's always this, it's like, you know what, that's my business if I'm frazzled. I put myself together pretty good when I'm in front of people. Yeah. No one seems to acknowledge that in movies or something. If the single mom's always frazzled and late and can't handle it, and the man comes in and, puts up the shelf and saves her life. It's like, ugh.
I saw that movie, Waiting to Exhale. Like, I saw it.
Yes. It's like, we have TaskRabbit. You know what? I don't need you to come put up a shelf. I have an app. I'll hire somebody if I feel like it.
You know what? And the other thing is that, in all fairness, we are raising the nation. Like, the majority of households are single parent households. So when people talk about us like we're this little, we're not the satanic cult anymore. We're the Jehovah's Witnesses. We're a sect now. We're big enough. We're running the country. We're big in numbers, and there's a spectrum. So every single mom, every single dad is not and that's what bothers me about marginalized groups in the media is that there's no spectrum, and that's why we get pissed off when you portray us the way you do, because there is no, like white people have Grey's Anatomy and Honey Boo Boo and everything in between, right? But
Honey Boo Boo.
yeah, like that they have the worst of the worst, the best of the best, and I'm saying Honey Boo Boo is the best of the best, and Grey's Anatomy is the worst of the worst.
She really is my role model, the mother, Mama June.
Oh, Mama June has a new show and everything, but
she can make a dinner out of possum. I mean, you really do have to respect her chops.
That's it. And you know what? I needed to live in an area where possums were available to me, because when it got really bad.
And on the streets. Like, you don't even have to go to the store. You just go on the local road and scrape up your dinner.
You pick it up and cook it, make a pot pie. But I get tired of, and as a woman of color, single moms that are women of color on television shows, and we really got it, like our sons, we don't want our sons to be hashtags, and we have, we're all poor, and I can't wait for, I know Jay-Z just admitted to cheating on Beyonce. I can't wait for her to leave him so she can become the queen of single moms. Because imagine if Beyonce was our leader.
Evolution in her career.
Oh, do you know, like, first it was like, who runs the world, girls?
Yeah.
And then it's going to be single moms run the world, because they do. I'm waiting on her to just become our leader. And she's our leader anyway. But I get tired of single moms, or that single parents are only moms. There are so many single dads out there that are just going through the same things, but that for some reason they're not allowed to be weak or have a moment of weakness because they're dads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it gets tiring. I like to see. Actually, I'm working on something. I'd like to see single moms, empowered and having it together and a good job and insurance.
Seriously, yeah, insurance. Okay. Oh, our cookie jars. There's no more cookies in the cookie jar. So, so this segment is just what we do on the site on Single Parents Alliance of America is talk about what we're grateful for. It's like a gratitude list. Yeah. And so I guess it's a good way, after 25 minutes of venting, it's a good way to end it. So on an up note. Yeah. And so on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, it's the hashtag I support you. Yeah. And so if you want to, type in let us know of your own things you're grateful for, that's great. And we can find it with a hashtag I support you. But what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for honestly, my kids are, healthy. I always used to say, like, I would watch my kids at a graduation or something and say to myself, I can't believe I didn't break him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and people like don't, because when you come from a broken home, and I come from so much struggle and so much craziness, that I wanted my kids not to have the kind of life that I had. So I moved 3,000 miles away. So when I look at them, I'm just thankful that they're good human beings, and that, they're pretty solid, and they're not what, those people who are on the internet saying, single parents are killing society and they're ruining values and the children are criminals. My kids are nothing that people who have a negative idea of what single parents are supposed to be. They're everything that anybody who comes from a loving home and are supposed to be. So I'm just thankful for that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, if my kid is a criminal, he's more like an evil mastermind, and so he's on America's side. That's a good thing. Like, I am making a hacker, but he'll be on our side. No, it's weird. I remember once taking my kid, I don't know, to the pediatrician, and a woman was there, and she was bringing her daughter's urine to the pharmacy, and she was older, so I was like, the daughter's probably older, and the daughter can't do this herself because something's wrong, and I just was like, I'm so lucky. One chromosome goes off or one bad thing happens, and all of a sudden, you're doing these basic things for a kid that you would do because you're the mother, and it's completely life-altering. So
yeah.
It's weird to say when you're grateful for health, because it's kind of a hacky thing, but it's so true.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm grateful that my son is healthy at this point. You know, he's 11, right? But so far so good. And I'm grateful that I only have one child. Two is hard. And I remember like early when when they're up until the age of 2, they can fly in your lap for free.
Yes.
And that was great. I would take him on the road with me and stuff like that. And that was, even though it was he was a year and 11 months, it was like, oh, this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
He's gigantic. It's not comfortable. The people next to me hate me. Yeah, I'm grateful that I just have the one. You know, I know people are like, oh, I wish I want a brother or sister. But, you know, if you're going to be a single parent, it's the fewer kids you have, the easier it's going to be. So if you're, it's okay.
She's keeping it so real. Like,
that's what I tell my son. I'm glad I didn't have another of you.
yeah.
Which may be contributing to his mental state, but
Which is why he's going to be a hacker.
yes.
And you will be his first victim.
I was, when he came out of the womb, I was his first victim. He broke my vagina. That was the first thing he did when he
Oh my God, I
entered
love
this
that.
world and destroyed my abs. Yeah, that was an assault. It really was.
So on that note,
Yeah.
on the broken vagina, which we all have when we have children, we want to say thank you for checking us out.
Yeah.
And remember, hashtag I support you.
Yes.
It's like I heart you, but single parents need
Yeah,
support instead
that's
of
right.
love. Like, right? So I support you.
Find us there and check out the Single Parents of Alliance of America.org.
SPAOA.org.
Yes, she got it. Thanks.